Just a little farther to go.
Uncharted The Lost Legacy was originally destined to be Uncharted 4 DLC before it turned into a standalone spin-off all its own. We've played it from start to finish, and gameplay-wise, it's extremely similar to the Uncharted games that have come before it. And for a lot of Uncharted fans, this won't be a problem at all. The only difference I really felt is that instead of listening to Nathan Drake's lovely voice, you're listening to Chloe Fraser's lovely voice. And instead of looking at Nathan Drake's lovely bottom as he climbs ancient ruins, you're looking at Chloe Fraser's lovely bottom as she climbs ancient ruins. It's win-win in my book.
Worth it?
Impressive.
There are 10 chapters in all, instead of Uncharted's usual 22. And in a departure from Uncharted's usual formula, all the action is set in one country, mostly localized in one particular region. There are a few small ways that The Lost Legacy puts its own stamp on the series though. Here are 5 little ways it breaks the rules. No story spoilers, but you might want to come back later if you're planning on going into the game totally fresh. In the more open world section of The Lost Legacy, set in the Western Ghats, you can go off the beaten track of the main questline and have a go at something we haven't done before in an Uncharted game, an optional side quest.
Let's see.
The Western Ghats is a large area that feels very similar to the Madagascar section in Uncharted 4, but the region in The Lost Legacy definitely feels larger, and it lets you tackle multiple main campaign objectives in any order. But there's also an extra location that Chloe will mark down on her map with a question mark. Head there and you'll be challenged to retrieve multiple Hoysala tokens dotted around the area. As Chloe and Nadine make a point of saying, this isn't necessary to furthering the story, but it's a fun diversion as many of the tokens require solving a puzzle in order to retrieve them. And the reward at the end of it all will be very useful later in the game to would-be treasure hunters.
As a wise old man once said, abracadabra.
Fraser, need to ask you something. It's important.
Go ahead.
You and Nathan Drake. Professional relationship?
Poor Nathan. Of course there was going to be some small mention of him in The Lost Legacy, but who'd have thought he'd be made fun of behind his back in his own series? Feels like there should be a law against that or something. Nadine also raises a good point about why Chloe and Nathan never worked out though. All those snappy one-liners would get old really fast when arguing over whose turn it is to do the dishes or whether or not you've forgotten to put the bins out.
Irritating, impossibly so, but he's charming in his own way. And it was fun, while it lasted.
That's all one can ask for, I suppose. But I have to ask. Did you two take turns talking, or did you just talk over each other?
Although Nathan never turns up in person in The Lost Legacy, there are quite a few playful jibes towards the series as a whole if you listen out to Chloe and Nadine's chat. The one about Nathan's brother Sam, seemingly appearing out of thin air, is particularly brutal. Developer Naughty Dog was more than happy to take a few shots at itself here, it seems. The dialogue between Chloe and Nadine is one of the best parts of The Lost Legacy, though. You really feel like the two become closer over the course of the game, from uneasy allies to true partners who trust one another implicitly. And this is done in often subtle ways. You'll eventually notice, for example, that the pair have gradually shifted from a surname to first name basis as their bond becomes stronger.
Hold on. I've got an idea.
What are you doing?
Improvising. Get ready! Sit! Oh, no!
Nadine definitely had a point in saying that Nathan and Chloe are very similar in a lot of ways though. So much so that for the most part, The Lost Legacy plays exactly like Uncharted 4. You've got 4x4 off-road adventures, you've got your rope swingy hook thing, you've got stealth takedowns, and you've got puzzles to solve to activate implausibly intact ancient mechanisms. One way that Chloe and Nathan do differ, however, is in her ability to pick locks on enemy supply crates, nabbing useful resources like extra ammo and rocket launchers. The mechanic itself is simple enough, kind of like a slimline version of Skyrim's lockpicking. You move and hold the left thumbstick in response to telltale vibrations to pick locks with differing numbers of pins to bypass. It's mostly optional, but a good way to find some sweet weaponry or hidden treasures. And it introduces a fun layer of tension if you decide to stealth through some enemy outposts just to get the loot boxes within. Of course, you could just kill everyone first. The Lost Legacy lets you tackle combat scenarios in different ways. But challenging yourself with different approaches to optional confrontation is one of the interesting dynamics to come out of having larger, open world areas.
My God. Are you seeing this?
As much as Uncharted has always been about spectacular set pieces and epic shootouts, it's also loved for its witty script, sharp dialogue, and deep and meaningful moments between characters. Chloe and Nadine are a good combo, and each have their own issues that they help one another work through. At one point in the game, Chloe is feeling a little bit down, and Nadine steps in to make sure she's okay. Just when you think the two are going to have a feelingsy chat, Nadine applies her own special form of therapy.
Oh my God. What the hell?
Your head back in the game now?
Well, playfully shoving someone off a cliff is certainly one way to cheer them up, and it's a refreshing departure from a series that likes to talk a lot. It's also a really effective way of showing the growing friendship between two characters who aren't very good at expressing themselves. We didn't even mind that it made us do the short climbing sequence we'd just completed all over again. Well, didn't mind too much. It's another example of how good Naughty Dog is at including interesting character moments without wresting control away from the player or forcing them to watch a cutscene. Nadine's contribution to battles is similarly telling of her character. Though AI partners are old hat in the series by now, Nadine feels so much more aggressive than all the others. And the game lets you know she means business by showing how capable she is at taking enemies out all by herself.
Amazing landscape.
While Nathan Drake did take a few good photos in Uncharted 4, including a great glamour shot of Sully, Chloe is a much bigger fan of snapping shots that you can swipe through later on your phone. It seems like you can really only take pictures in specific locations though, and their composition is entirely dictated by the game itself, which is kind of a shame. It feels like a missed opportunity that the phone photos and the game's photo mode weren't combined a bit more, in the style of GTA 5's mechanic. Maybe it's not really that kind of game, but it would have been fun to have a bit more freedom to take some silly selfies with Chloe and Nadine with all of those gorgeous dramatic backdrops. We'll be able to talk a little more freely about our time with Uncharted The Lost Legacy after the game launches next week. So look out for more in-depth chat about Chloe and Nadine's adventures then. In the meantime, let us know if you're excited to return to the Uncharted universe, or if there are any characters you'd like to see make a return, either in a standalone game like this, or in the form of DLC. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and click on one of the links on screen now for more lovely video stuff from Eurogamer. Bye!